And we know that she sort of flicked the bird at the Suits as she left. But the first thing that stands out is you're clearly sincere about having to interrupt her at that point, James.
Well, I mean, it's an awful. It's so hard. I mean, I was stood off just off the frame on and the truth is, just after Adele said thank you, people were saying you have to go in now. You have to cut off now. And I said, I can't. They said, you have to. Oh, sorry, that's my quarter-hour call for the show.
It's all right, this is adding to the glamour. I like it.
They said you have to do it now. I said, I can't. They said, you have to. I said, how can we cut her off? You know, the whole room was on its feet. And they said, you've got to do it now. And then essentially, you know, it was such a surreal moment, and everything you can hear in your ear is about five people essentially having an argument, and then there's one overriding voice says, James, you have to, and I didn't. It actually sounds longer there than I thought she'd had to say. Is the truth. I only really remembered her saying thank you, because in that whole time I was having this kind of interior sort of dialogue with the channel and things like that. But you know, it's a shame, but you know, it's a live show, and what can you do? You know, it really is one of those things, and all you can do really is learn from it, and the channel will learn from it, and we will all learn from it, and go, well, how do we rectify that and change it next year? And that's all you can do, really. I don't think it's quite as big a news story as some might. If you listen to it there, it's not a bad speech. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that it's cut short, and it's unfortunate in every way. And I was so upset last night, and I can understand why Adele was. Like, I didn't even watch Blur, which was I was so looking forward to it, because it means it's finished and you can really enjoy an act that's on, and they're one of my favourite bands. But I immediately went and spoke to her, and you know, it's just one of those things, and it's upsetting and it's disappointing. But there was an hour and 59 minutes of really brilliant TV before that.
Of course. So what you're saying at that moment, so you left the arena, you didn't watch Blur. Did you try to go to her dressing room, did you, to speak to her?
I just wanted to say I'm so sorry, and to explain to her that if I had my way, you know, you'd push the news for a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I had my way, if it was up to me or the executive producer of the show, then that's what would have happened. But unfortunately, you know, it's not really. You can't really make that call. And I'm sure in retrospect, and you know, in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing. You know, retrospectively, the channel and things. When I think you can see that in the statement that they made, that they were so apologetic for the interruption. But at the time, at that moment, when you've been hosting 2 hours, when you know you've been producing 2 hours of live TV, which is so stressful in terms of sets and bands and equipment and all of those things, it really is a jigsaw. It's a difficult thing to keep perspective on, really.
It is, and also, so there's an overriding voice at ITV then who came in your ear and told you to do this. And I guess from that person's point of view, it's hard on them, isn't it? It's a snap decision. You only have those moments to decide what you're going to do, and that was the decision that was made. And you know, for me personally, I would much, you know, you want to. Also, it would have been such a wonderful TV moment for Adele to have her real moment there in the sun and say everything she wanted to say, and then Blur come on. You know, it's a shame that we're even talking about it, because up until then, I feel like it was a British show on TV that just had a class and an elegance to it that had been, you know, that was just everything we've tried to do, really. It did. Hey, was she all right when you spoke to her backstage, James?
Yes, she's fine. Yeah.
Because I saw you an hour and a half after the show. When there was a party at the Tate Modern. There's nothing like going to Tate Modern at midnight.
Yeah.
And because I was on the table with ITV, and those guys rushed back to see you right at the end of the show. And when I saw you an hour and a half later, because you said you were upset in that moment, but you seemed in a good mood later on.
Well, yeah, you just have to go, do you know what, that was look, if the one negative we're saying of this year's Brit Awards was that Adele didn't get long enough to say thank you, then comparing that to previous years, that's a real triumph. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
In terms of politicians being covered with buckets of ice and rock stars invading other people's stages and drunk DJs running up and shouting oi oi down a microphone and other rock stars chucking their award into a crowd. By those standards, this is an okay problem. Is
there a little bit of you pining for someone to go on stage and moon one of the acts?
No, not at all. No, not at all. Because I don't think it's befitting of how good we are as a country at making music.
Yeah.